Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Duff.
Oh my God, you're back! I can't tell you how happy I am. I don't have to sound stupid doing the intro anymore. This is great.
I am back, baby. I am back, and our producer Nico. Where's Nico?
You know he's not in here with us, right? You didn't notice that? I know he can be quiet sometimes, but no, he's not here.
No, I thought he.
I thought you told me I thought you told me you were listening to the episodes that you weren't on.
So where's Nico?
Oh, he left. Forever.
He's dead?
No, not the Earth, the podcast.
Okay. Well, let's just roll with it.
So you're producer now. Good luck.
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
Have fun with that. I hope you're recording or something.
As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at HHN365, and you can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. On today's show, we will discuss our wish list for HHN 31. Duff, before we get into it, I just want to say how good it feels to be back. It feels a little different, and I'm very sad not to have Nico here.
Yep,
he really, we just called him our producer, but he really was our, third musketeer, if you would. And he was our third host, and it is sad that he is not with us, but maybe you'll hear his voice pop in from time to time. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. I don't want to get your hope up, but he's around. Like I said, he didn't disappear from the earth, so he's still here.
I might force him to send in a voicemail here or there. We'll see, because no one else does.
I hear he plays a pretty great Santa, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, maybe if we ever do a Christmas special again, maybe he could play Santa.
Maybe. I don't know where we'd get that idea, but it's not bad.
Who knows? Well, it just feels good to be back talking about HHN. Let's just do some little housekeeping first. We are gonna try to apologize for the inconsistency lately. There's been a lot of things going on in my life, and I know your life, Duff, and Nico's life. That it was we talked about last show, but yes, we're going to try to at this point we're kind of about to be in the thick of it again for HHN 31, and we're going to try to get consistent shows out, hopefully weekly, but is definitely more consistent than we have been doing the last couple of weeks.
That's definitely the plan. I think we kind of the goal is to shoot for weekly. If we don't hit that goal, we're still going to try to come as close as we can.
Yeah. Kind of like back to how it was before. Well, it was weekly. It was weekly, but
there was a good while we were very weekly, and then Then Horror Nights happened, and then suddenly I never slept. So
right. And it's hard when you feel like you really can't talk about said event that you host a podcast to because you work for said company.
That is fair.
That is a little difficult. But we're gonna just roll with it. Right?
And sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We lost to Nico and gained a Mike back. So glass half full.
Well, Duff, it's been a bit of a time since we have really talked about some news and rumors, so I bet there's some stuff there. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so let me bring it back. This one's actually from December, before Christmas.
Okay.
And I think
all right.
We've had 2 episodes maybe since then. No, just one. We had 1 episode since then, and I just totally forgot to bring it up. We were too busy talking about Nico. Anyways, so this one is from James Keaton, who plays Jack, the main scare actor, the one who created the character, you could say.
Right.
He hinted in a tweet that on December 22nd, he was gearing up as Jack for some
Ooh.
reason. Yeah, so
Ooh.
obviously we have not heard any elaboration on that at this point, and I have not seen anything come out yet. But it sounds like maybe, ooh, I don't know. I mean, there's options. Could it be some sort of teaser for next year? I think a lot of people seem to immediately think that like he's going to be the icon again, and I would not assume that. It could be more of a passing of the torch type thing, kind of
Okay. Yeah.
transitioning from last year to
Mm-hmm.
next year. It could be something more wrapping up last year and really have nothing to do with this year. Maybe just like drop the dates with it or something. And honestly, I if we ever see this, if it's even for us, who knows? It could have been some small thing that someone paid a lot of money for to get a Jack video personalized. You never know if it's actually
Yeah.
even for us.
Yeah. True.
But if it is for us, I would have to guess that it's probably something that would get dropped with like the dates and maybe a little bit more. But that'd be my intuition.
Well, I'm going to save my hope and speculation for what this might be when we get to our wish list because it may tie in to some of the things that I have on it.
Okay.
So,
All
yeah.
right.
So, what else you got?
All right. So the next ones are all going to be Hollywood based, and they're actually all going to come from tweets from John Murdy.
Okay. The good old Murdy tweet.
Yeah, Murdy tweet is great. I love a good Murdy tweet. And these are like not just implying anything. This is full on confirmation of two things.
Uh-huh.
One of which just actually came out today or yesterday, I guess at this point when you're listening, that the Terror Tram is indeed returning. I know we've talked about this a lot among ourselves with Jonathan from the Hotline, that just the way they've been clearing out space in their backstage and spaces that they've used for the Terror Tram. It didn't seem likely that it would come back with its 1 year gap and then kind of filling in for a smaller year. It seemed like that might have been just what it was doing, just coming back to fill in and then going away once again. But he was asked about how that process is going along with Scare Zones. He said, yep, we've begun Scare Zone development and I've already settled on the Terror Tram concept, just have not started designing it yet. But that is, confirmation they're doing the Terror Tram, or at least currently planning on it. Things can be cut. It happens. But they are fully planning on it at this moment, it sounds like.
This is exciting news, Duff. I am not going to lie. This really gets my my juices flowing, if you would, about the idea of maybe trying to make it over to the Hollywood.
I know last year one of your biggest disappointments of not making it was thinking that you may have missed your final opportunity at the Terror Tram.
Yeah, so this gives me hope.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy if you make it over. We'll see. We'll see.
Time
will tell. But I am excited regardless. We've talked about it many times. Maybe not the best experience in the world, but coming from Orlando, it is so unique that it's just something you have to try.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on the old bucket list, and it just seems just quirky enough that you just kind of have to experience it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
It's like the toxic tunnel, you gotta go through it.
I mean, if you're there, you might as well, but I don't know that it's something you have to experience. I wouldn't fly over there for the toxic tunnel.
Wait, which one did you experience? How many X's was in your toxic?
I think it was 3.
Oh, it was the triple X.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So a special year for the toxic tunnel.
The old triple X toxic tunnel. Yeah.
All right, moving on. So this next one is it's nothing too specific, but something we got last year, and that's that Murdy confirmed that there will be a shared house project with Orlando.
Okay.
So we got that last year, obviously, with Bride of Frankenstein Lives. That was kind of, they'd talked about one of the first times they've ever really fully collaborated to a certain level. It wasn't a full collaboration, but more than usual, where they just kind of do their own thing with IPs. And it sounds like they're in meetings and doing probably to at least that level and maybe even further once again. And
that's exciting to hear.
We had a great house here, and that was my favorite maze out there. So successful formula potentially. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see. Let's see. I know they love their Universal Monsters houses over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And
that might lead to something that I have on my list as well. So
so I won't make my next comment then. And that's all we got for news and rumors right now. I mean, it's kind of been slow going. There's a few small rumors that have come from like some insiders in the forums, but there's nothing big whatsoever. It's very small things that are honestly so far from being like a legit like rumor at this point that it's not even worth bringing up.
right, right, yeah. This is the season where you get anything that's a real rumor. Yeah, it's probably it's shaky at best, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some years we do get some early stuff, some stuff right after the event, and some like into January. But that's usually like one thing, maybe two things at most. But this year, we're real scraps this year, not much.
Yeah.
And then dates compared to recent history, pretty behind. I don't know if there's a reason as far as marketing or concerns about the pandemic still, or if this is just how they planned it out in general this year. But dates are, still waiting on those too. So
Oh
they can't
wow.
be too far off, I
Yeah,
hope.
they're coming.
But ticket sales don't even start in a normal year till like June. So um,
Yeah.
they don't really have to come out too much earlier than that. I guess for people planning a big trip, it's probably nice to have them in advance. But it's going
We
to
know
be
the event's
all
happening, and
all of
kind of the
September and
dates.
all of October. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, the Mondays and Tuesdays they're not going to have an event, but basically every other day you can assume they're probably going to have one, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty close to what it is.
Pretty much of September and October.
But
All
how about
right,
we get into our main segment here?
let's do it, Duff. It has been a bit for me to really, chew on some HHN content. I have, if you've been listening to the shows, I'll pop in here or there to talk about Sir Henry's Haunted Trail or the SeaWorld event that I already forgot the name of, Hallow Scream. Hallow Scream Orlando. But it has been a while since I've talked some
Yeah,
HHN, and
yeah.
I'm fiending. I'm fiending to do it.
Oh man, I'm eating, so I can only imagine how you feel.
Yeah, yeah. Well, um, the voice box is back, and I'm here to talk. So let's do it. Duff, let's. Do you kind of want to explain the kind of the
How we're
concept? Yeah, the concept here.
yeah,
You said we were doing our wish list, but
yes.
let's elaborate on that.
So yeah, basically just the standard wish list. What we are looking for, not what we think is happening. We might bump in and say whether we think it will or not. It depends on how we're feeling. But this is just purely what things that we would want, and we're gonna break it
Oh
down into
yes, for sure.
different categories. So instead of doing the basic kind of like house scare zone show like we've done in the past, we're gonna mix it up a bit. New properties, returning properties, food and drink, tickets and operations, and then our personal resolutions for the Horror Nights season this year, or the haunt
Yeah.
season in general. I guess we can branch out if we'd
Oh
like
yeah,
to.
yeah. Yeah, that's a yeah. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
think I
have
put
to
anything
say,
not HHN. So yeah, I said
I
that, but
did
I
not.
don't think it's gonna happen.
I did not as well, but yeah, I have to say, yeah, I'm looking at this list. There, most of the stuff on here, I am pretty confident is not going to happen. So,
Yeah,
this is purely wishing.
yeah. I will
Wishing
say I
upon
picked
HHN
more.
stuff.
I could have gone crazy, and I have in the past. But I look at what I wrote down, and I'm like, man, a lot of this stuff could happen. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
not me, not me.
No, hey, that keeps it fun. All right, so Mike, we're gonna start out here with new properties. So this is just
Oh, we're
anything.
gonna start with okay. We're gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah.
right into
We'll
the
go. Yeah, let's go
okay.
into the big boys.
Yeah,
Um,
this is okay.
so new properties is anything that's never been featured at the event, and it could be something that has been featured like at a light level at a non-Orlando event. But I would say if it's
Mhm.
been like a maze at Hollywood, probably that still doesn't fall into new properties for Orlando.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And
Yes. Do you want to go first, or should I?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I'm going to start off with the most basic answer I possibly could, that everyone, for the most part, is going to agree with, and that's Scream.
Oh yeah, yeah. See,
I
I
I
had a
mean,
feeling you were gonna pick this, so
yeah.
I went a little bit more obscure. I'll be honest with you, I didn't pick anything that I haven't seen yet. So
Oh,
there's a lot of things that I haven't seen. So I did not pick anything I did
that's
see
fair.
yet. But
That's fair.
so Scream was not picked. But go ahead. Why did you pick Scream?
So Scream, I mean, why wouldn't I? Obviously, it's been something that we came very close to getting at 25, and everyone wants to see it. It's just one of those properties that like
Mhm.
natural fit. As a slasher that has unique kills. It has a bunch of different settings and places they go to. It just a property that lends itself well to a Horror Nights house, you'd imagine. And of course, the synergy pairing up with the new movie that releases here, although, you're months later at that point. Still a lot of hype around the franchise because of that. And who knows, by then we could be talking about, an announcement for a Scream 6. Who knows?
Right.
But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I would even, this is crazy, but even prefer Scream 5 rather than the original.
Ooh.
Yeah. And really, that
Okay.
just comes down to kind of recency bias. I think Scream is the better movie than Scream 5. But I think Scream 5, you get a level of gore that I'm looking for in a house. You get more
Okay.
settings than the original, so there's more places you can go and visit. And one of those things that comes, I'm not actually too soon. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a lot of settings. There's still unique kills and more detailed kills. And without saying any other spoilers, yeah, no, I think I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say, give me a Scream 5. Although, you know what? Even like a mashup of the Scream franchise, which would be tough rights wise, but
Mm.
that'd be
Yes.
great. That'd be
I
great.
love a good mashup house. I know a lot of people don't, but I like the, especially if it's a property we're probably not going to get again. Give me my favorite moments of all of them.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
give it to me.
And then when we get to Scream 3, man, that'll be something in the house. But I'd still like to see it.
Yes.
All right, what do you got to
Um,
start us off, or start
No,
yourself
yeah,
off?
yeah. I just wanted to comment a little bit
Oh, go
more
ahead.
about Scream. This would, if I didn't know you were gonna pick this, this would be on mine too. I love the original Scream movies. I have not seen the most recent one, but Scream is my childhood, and this, this would make a great HHN house. It's an iconic. I think if we if we're trying to in paper put things that I think HHN 31 needs, as we need some iconic IPs, and there's nothing better than Ghostface.
Oh, I mean,
He
he's like the one big missing like
right.
horror icon. I'd
And
say outside of like maybe Pinhead, you could say,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, and no, yeah, I thought about that too, but I'm not as a big a fan of those the Hellraiser movies as I am with Scream. So
Yeah, no,
yeah, no,
I am a bigger Scream fan for sure. And hey, listen, you want to hear something that matches up? The original Scream had one of the greatest marketing ploys ever, where they pitched Drew Barrymore as the leading
hmm
actress in this
right,
film,
and
and
Killer
then
and
kill her
then
off immediately. So
yeah.
you aren't getting at all what you expect. And Horror Nights is really good at giving you house announcements and then giving you a very different house than what they describe in the announcement. So look at that. They go
Yeah.
together hand in hand.
All right. Well, my next one, I'm going to go with the one that kind of ties in a little bit to it's ties in a way that this is one that has been the rumor has it was so close to happening. It is one that people definitely want. It's kind of a missing horror franchise that it has not come, and it really it needs to kind of make this event complete
Oh,
at some
Hellraiser.
point. It is not Razor. It is something. Duff, what if you were to think of what type of haunted house that or maze that I like? Can you think of off the top of your head what types of things I like?
I mean, you're gonna like. I mean, a very detailed, well set, dressed
Hmm.
house. Some great visuals, basically,
Yes.
is what you'd be going
And
for.
I yes, and I love a good, just classic spooky haunted house, like
Hmm.
a ghost, like without going into too much, but something like the Dead End or American Horror Story.
Hmm.
That I think there needs to be at least one of those every year, just a classic, walk through spooky haunted house, and I think the Conjuring offers that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I think we need the Conjuring. Uh,
Now, of course, we had last year the new Conjuring entry to the series. Are you talking like a mashup or any specific film?
I think you got to go with the classic. You
Okay.
got to go with the first one. I love mashups, but when you come to The Conjuring, there's a lot of stuff that's not so good. But I think the original is great. And I think that would make an amazing kind of classic like IP house that really, tells the story and tells it well, like a Shining sort of way, not
Hmm.
necessarily like a Poltergeist where it's going to tell its own story. I want something that's going to really, make you feel like you're walking through that movie again. That's the IP house that I like, and I think I think The Conjuring would really transport us into that movie, and I think it would be a good fit for HHN 31 if you're trying to build a lineup that has some iconic horror franchises.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty well on record as being not the biggest Conjuring fan in the world on this podcast. Um, and I think The Devil Made Me Do It was like a bad film, but
Well,
the
yeah, I mean, I
that's why you said the original. That's where I was going. Is that I think specifically you saying the original one. I think that's perfect because I think that's the one that not only is the best film, but is the one that's going to lend itself most to being a house at HHN.
right.
In especially that vibe that you are going for. That's what it's going to give you.
Yes. Yes, that is what I want. I want like this classic spooky haunted house, that's something that I think not too much. I think American Horror Story was a really good uh representation of that. I think they did it well. I know you were probably have a little bit of a differing opinion, but I think that The Conjuring could also offer a good representation.
I liked both renditions of the American Horror Story houses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said American Horror Story, and I meant The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Didn't love that.
Yeah, no, I meant, yeah, the haunt, and I think I said American Horror Story both times. I referred to it, and I was in my head thinking of the haunting of the Hill House. But
Okay,
I
yeah.
actually really like Hill House. I think it's
Hey,
a
no,
good house.
a lot of people really enjoyed it. Just fell a little flat for me, but I think going for that kind of feel is still a great concept and a formula
Yes,
that they should strive for, even if I didn't love that specific one.
yes. All
All right.
right.
So
You haven't got another one because I got two.
I actually have three,
Okay.
but this next one, another really kind of basic. I've said it before. You've said it before,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people would like it. I got really boring with these new properties, and that's going to
Oh
be
yeah.
Candyman.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't know how much we have to talk about it. I will say I think it would be a lot easier for them to use the new one, and I think there are benefits to the new one over the original as well because, um, again, going back to the different settings they have compared to the original, so these different places they can take you. I think the paper puppets that could be a really cool effect that they could use
Yes.
in different parts of the house. Um, I just think there's a few things that could lend itself just a bit better than the original would. Not that I'd love to see the original, but I could see why if they were to choose this franchise, they would choose the new one. Obviously, synergy. The rights would be a lot easier, and again, there's just some benefits to it as well.
Yeah, I have to admit here, Duff, that I may not necessarily fully agree with you on this one. I think that Candyman doesn't necessarily, especially, I have not seen the most recent one, but I think the original, there is some uh, political correctness that I don't think necessarily stands the test of time,
Yep.
to lending it to something that Universal would make a maze around. And I have not seen the original too, so I can't really comment on it. But I don't. I know Candyman is floated around a lot. I am not on board. That I think that it's something that Universal would try to pull off.
Would you say that just for the original? Because the new one kind of takes anything that was a concern about the way they went into race relations in the original, which at times definitely tiptoed and maybe crossed some lines.
Yes.
Whereas the new one kind of took it the other direction. Obviously, still played into race relations, but did it from the actual perspective that you should see it from. I guess at that point, to your point, you could also look at that as, are you using it to experience of what another race has to endure,
Right.
and using that for entertainment. From that point, yeah, okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
But then they did Us, which had the same exact kind of social issues involved.
I would say definitely with a much less. Us doesn't have it as much, I would say, as Candyman.
Yeah,
does.
Candyman definitely focuses on it a bit more, for sure.
Now, Get Out it definitely does, and
but that beats the other two.
But Us, I would say, yeah. But would I enjoy it if it was there? I think it would make a great house. I think it's something that I think we'll see. I'm not on the same board as everyone. I don't necessarily think it's something.
But I would say the one thing you also get here is it is almost an entirely black cast, which would lead to a very black cast within the house as well. Which would be
that I
great
love
for casting. Because we all know it's been pointed out, unfortunately, many times that it happens that sometimes casting. Okay, every year casting has some things they need to do better with. It's not always diverse. They don't. They discriminate against like different body sizes and shapes, and that's an issue. So I think there's also the potential benefit of they don't really have a choice here unless they pull the Hollywood trick and use masks, which didn't go over too well previously. So I don't think we would here. But anyways, I think again it's one of those things. It doesn't matter how I feel about it, obviously. So, I think it's going to have to kind of be a gauge it on Universal side.
Yeah. We'll see. How well did that movie perform? I know it probably not necessarily.
I mean, it's tough to tell with theaters right now, obviously. I could actually look at it.
It has a great critic. It has an 84 on Rotten Tomatoes on the critic.
Oh, does it really?
75 on over Google users. So it was definitely well liked. So it is something I have yet to see.
It only pulled in 77 million at the box office.
Yeah, so but that again, you can't necessarily judge it on that.
But to compare, Halloween Kills did do 131 million. Obviously, much bigger franchise. It also tough to compare those, but yeah. I mean, it's just too tough to judge for the year it came out in.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll definitely see. I think if we get a sequel, if we're starting gonna see some, Candyman franchise here where it's like a reboot of this, and we get some Candyman content coming out, more frequently than just this one reboot. Then I think, yeah, I can think that we could potentially see Candyman coming, but I don't know if it's coming. But that's again not what this list is. This is
No.
a list, right?
Yep, exactly.
Speaking of things that definitely want to see but probably won't, this is my next one, and I believe I have mentioned this on, I don't think it was our show, I believe it was the Scream Queens, but I think this one is something that would tick a box that they have been doing recently, and that is doing an iconic movie that is more horror adjacent than it is horror. And this one is definitely a little bit further than what we've seen with Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice. But I think it would definitely lend itself well. It is something that I think people are ready to see in the parks again, and I think it would get a certain demographic back. Going to Horror Nights, and that is I want to see a Terminator house. I want to see Terminator represented at HHN. I think it would be a very, very fun house to walk through, and it would bring a lot of things to a house that I like to see. Mostly really, really cool special effects.
Yeah, no, I think especially if you're going off like the first one specifically, I think that's pretty close to just being horror. It's
yeah.
It's
especially
got some
80s horror. When you think about it, it's definitely just kind of like it's kind of a classic 80s, got a run from the bad guy who's chasing me type of movie. It's got a sci-fi tone to it, but it has that same feel of what a lot of 80s horror movies had.
And I mean, imagine how scary like T100s jumping out at you could be.
Yes.
Yes. T800s, right?
Oh yeah, no, we're going to offend a lot of people. First of all, I think we're going to offend a lot of Horror Night people who was like, Terminator, it would never come. And then the ones who are into Terminator are going to be offended because I'm going to call something. We're going to mess up the nomenclature here and call.
I'm looking it up to make sure I was right with.
T100 is the first one, right?
T800.
T800.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. No, I just looked it up. It's T800.
Okay.
And then because I was trying to do is avoid saying T1000, which
T1000 is the shape shifting one, right?
Yep, exactly. That's what, because I was gonna say T1000, like nope, wrong one. So I said 100 instead, and I was like, wait, nope. 800, and yes, it's 800. Although I'm seeing he was technically, he was called like Model 101, but the actual series is called the T800. So yes, that's correct.
Yes, and yes, how amazing would that to have some puppets come back and have the exoskeleton T800 popping out at you here or there, and then have some lookalikes throughout the maze as well. I think it would be amazing. It'd be fun.
If I feel it'd be very dark, and then utilize like some really cool lighting effects. I think it's just an imagery that the film has that I think I'd love to see represented within a house.
You got to have the lookalike still on the payroll, right? Yeah. I mean, they're probably just still on seasonal entertainment. They come in for a Mardi Gras float every once in a while or something. But you bring them in to say, okay, you're gonna play the T800 again. Because you had them on there before when you had the show. So
I mean, yeah, they can make it work. I mean, they'll make it work regardless.
Right.
But yeah, coming to would it happen? That feels like one of those ones.
It's not going to happen.
It's like it's a property that like they could obviously get the rights to use pretty easily.
Yeah. I mean, they
So
have the props floating around, a lot of them anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're
I mean,
somewhere, they can just pull them out.
it would be easy for them to do. I just would they bring the property? I don't. I think if we ever want it, we can hope that there's some big Terminator revival with like a new kind of a new reboot or a
They've tried
series or
so many
something that
times, though,
they
Duff.
have.
They have
They have.
tried
I
so many
know,
times
and they aren't.
with,
But
and they've all been pretty good. I'm a big Terminator guy,
yeah,
but
there aren't
they just
many I
haven't
don't
been
like.
successful. Yeah, yeah.
But
I love Sarah Connor Chronicles. I have to admit that I love that TV series. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did.
I think the only one that was kind of like straight up bad was it Salvation. I just really did not like
Oh yeah,
Salvation.
yeah.
So I remember
There are some stinkers in there.
everyone hated Genesis, and I was like, that's not that bad. But Salvation, I did not enjoy whatsoever.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is not the Cyberdyne podcast.
We could be.
Don't give us any ideas.
Yeah, I don't think us messing up the model names should have a Cyberdyne podcast. Actually,
I bet someone is already writing us a cease and desist for using that name because I'm sure it's already out there.
right?
Let's move on. I think you have one more right in this category.
You know what? I'm gonna tie it into something else. So we can move on.
Oh.
That's fine.
Oh well,
I can make it work.
Now I do have one. Now, did you do shows as a separate category, Duff, or
no, I didn't. But if you did,
okay,
throw it out there.
Okay, let's move there because this kind of ties into this is a returning property too. I'm gonna go. I did put a show, and this is basically I got emotionally attached to a rumor, which is bad. You should never do. But I got emotionally attached to the rumor of the Oddfellows Jack backstory show, and I would love to see that in some sort of thing. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a Jack year, but if it is, let's give us a scripted Jack magic show like we were.
It sounds like they probably missed the opportunity. But would I be mad if they just randomly had a Jack backstory show, even though he's not the icon? No, I'd take it. If you did, I mean, remember how much we ragged on Halloween Nightmare Fuel before the event, and then we watched it. We're like, oh yeah, never mind. That was pretty fun.
So I have to admit that's the one thing at HHN 31 that I did not get to. So I did not see Nightmare Fuel, but I know enough about it that yes, it was definitely a fan favorite.
But yeah, I think something that style for that kind of show works. I think you could definitely do like an Oddfellows based show. So
yeah,
again, like you said, probably not happening this year, but I'd welcome it.
Yeah. It would definitely put the I'm ready for a scripted show, and I think that would be fun to see. We have not had you can argue that some of the shows that we've seen are scripted in a way, but they were more focused on kind of dance and sideshow acts, right? I'm ready for a kind of a scripted show.
I'm with you. All right, here. So I'll add something for show. That's kind of going the opposite, where you want kind of a more story-driven, scripted show. If I'm going over to Marathon of Mayhem, I want a return to what it was more like in 2019, where it was more just about the music and the properties, and less about trying to build a story. Because I think that hurt the flow a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to avoid doing too much of opinions of what I thought about of HHN 30. But
fine.
I definitely hear you. And I would say if there was one disappointment of the year, it might be that show for me.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. It just was not close to 29's. So
Yeah,
and I think
you
a
just
big thing
can't
for
really
me
compare
was
it, right?
the music and just the choppiness because of the story they tried to put in. It didn't work for me. Fell flat. Still was a fine show, but the gap is so big between what came before it. And if you want, listen, I'm one of those who would still happily take back Bill and Ted any day too. So,
Mm.
and I know it's not going to happen this year. Like we missed last year
I
would
don't
have
think it's
been the
happened any
year.
year, bro. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I don't think.
I could see it being like down the line, like a one off kind of you know like Horror Nights likes to do, bring something back for a year. Like, oh hey,
Yeah,
remember when we did this? I could see that, but it's never coming back as a permanent fixture again.
yeah, I agree with you, man. But I do think there is a potential of getting something, like that, a parody show of this. There is some property down the line that gets very popular that has kind of that horror comedy feel. We could get like a satire spoof the year type of show. That would
Well,
be great. I don't know if it's
you
Bill and Ted, but
you should talk to Jonathan from Hung Up. Oh my God, what was that? Talk to Jonathan from Hung Up on Horror about that, and he will tell you do that style show. And the host, David S. Pumpkins.
ooh.
Yep.
Uh, yeah. We'll we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
Um,
that's
I have
something.
I have some questions. I'll just leave it at that.
Any questions?
I do. Yes, I do. Um, let's move on. No, let's not go. Let's should we save returning properties for near the end
Sure, we
here
could
and
bounce. Yeah.
yeah,
You want
bounce
to jump to
around.
food and drink?
Let's do food and drink. Yeah. Yeah, food and drink is perfect.
All right.
Go ahead and you can go first.
So this is something that we saw last year that they kind of fixed, but they could fix more. It's kind of more of an operational thing, but has to do specifically with food and drink. So I'm putting it here, and that's
Mhm.
for the popular items, like the really popular items. Give it multiple locations. Like we saw what happened
Mhm.
with Twisted Taters at first, and they eventually had to spring up the second booth. Because like I did not have Twisted Taters, so that happened because the line was insane, and it was still insane after a lot of the times. Pizza fries weren't too bad last year most of the time, but it still could get extreme, and in years past 29, especially insane. It was almost impossible for me to get pizza fries because it was just always packed. So anything that's like the more popular items, just come into the event ready. Have multiple locations for them. I know they've added Louis as well for pizza fries, and that helps. But it could be a pain in the ass when you just want to. Even if I just get it like once a year, I don't want to have to wait that long.
Yeah.
Because
No.
like it was having there was like literally people saying they waited an hour for Twisted Taters, and
Yeah,
I believe it
I've
because that
heard
line
horror
wrapped
stories.
all the way down to Fast Food Boulevard, which is insanity.
Yeah, no, I agree. They should definitely, and I think that you're probably going to see it. I think Universal does tend to see an issue and
Yeah,
figure out how to
I mean they literally
resolve
did
that
it
issue.
mid-event last year, so.
Yeah, so we're gonna
But
see it.
my thing is more just come into the event ready. You know which items are going to fly off the shelf for the most part, so be prepared.
So mine, I'm gonna go with I have two. The return of character dining. I
Oh,
would that is something that I have yet to experience.
hmm
I would be very sad if it's gone for good. I hope that we are past the crest of the pandemic where we can figure out a way to do some character dining again in a safe and pandemic friendly way, and let's see it. Let's see it at HHN 31. I would don't know if it's going to happen. Probably won't, but I would like to see it.
so for me, this is kind of like it's tough because I do not like character dining in general. It's not my thing, but I also want to try character dining once. So
Yeah.
it's like I at least want it to come back so I can give it a shot.
That's
And
kind of how my feel
do
is.
you remember the saga we had for character dining in 2020? They canceled it, and then they brought it back and announced it would actually be happening. But then they canceled the event. In
Yes,
2021, they announced it was coming, and then they canceled it before the event.
yes,
It's had a very a roller coaster existence the past 2 years.
for sure. Yes,
I guess it
there.
didn't really exist at all because we never got it. But they announced it was coming multiple times within that window, and then didn't have it.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things that were up in the air at that time when and I
Oh yeah,
they were being hopeful, I would say.
so I'm pretty
And
sure
then
they canceled it when we got that pretty big wave, uh, like the late Delta wave, I think it was. That
uh
wasn't too long before the event, so
yeah,
I think that's kind of when they're like, yeah, we can't do it this year.
yeah. Do you have a second one or
Oh yeah,
you just move on?
I do. So you know what I really liked is that
Mhm.
at Monsters Cafe they had some more entree-sized
Oh
specialty
yes.
dishes. I would
Yes.
say spread that out a bit. Like even maybe just that each booth have one that's like an entree. And they kind of did at one booth. At Texas Chainsaw, they kind of had the platters. And for an entree, it would have been more food realistically, but the lamb spit was really delicious. And it came with bread and pickles, which is sort of an entree. But like, say, give me like a full entree option at like one at each booth, maybe. I think that'd be great because having that at Monsters Cafe was really nice to be able to still get a
Yeah.
specialty item, but be full from one thing.
The food at Monsters Cafe was great. I have to
Yeah.
say
Hmm.
that was really good, and it was consistently good. Because it was always the place to stop in if I needed an actual meal, and that's where I went. And it was good.
Yeah, no. So like, give me those options more than just at Monsters Cafe or one location. Uh, you know, it's nice to be able to eat and feel full.
Yes. My next one is a modest expansion of the themed drink options.
Mm.
I know that we're not going to go back to the heydays where it was, you had a bar on every corner and you had the blood
Three,
bag
four
girls.
bars all over the
Yeah,
place.
exactly. Yeah, no. But I would like to see some more, more than just two or three pre-made drinks that are themed to the event in a very generic way called like vampire bite, and there's no vampires in the in the event at all, like that year or something
Mm.
like that. I would like to see some actual themed cocktails to the properties that we have at
Hmm.
the year. That's what I would like, and I would like to see, potentially even further than that. Maybe have some add-on experiences where you could do, some sort of a cocktail hour, or kind of the way Disney does a bit, where you have like sort of I was trying to think like kind of like the Food and Wine Festival types of experiences that you get around alcohol and thing. I think if Universal could potentially do things like that, and theme it around HHN and alcohol. I think they could do it in a moderate way that it doesn't turn it into thing, but I think they would be very popular if you had, those types of things going on, themed
So,
around drinking.
so what I'm hearing is you're a proponent for an HHN mixology class that's an upcharge.
Yes, yes,
I
and
fucking love
have
it.
um um the theme park bar host.
That'd be pretty great, actually. Yeah.
He
No, I
would.
think that's actually a phenomenal idea to do. Kind of those. They'd have to be a little bit shorter. Obviously, it's an event where people are very tight on their time. Um, but like squeeze in like a 30-minute mixology class for like they could charge easily 20. And probably more than that. Um, I'm sure it would fill up every time slot.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna have, and I was thinking even more, like if you're gonna have the lagoon show every year, you could easily put a small section and have like a
Like a
reserved
viewing area with
viewing area where you have this expanded alcohol and
okay.
experience. Or yeah. So that I would like to see kind of some upcharge experiences throughout HHN. I think they would be fun, and I think they
Mm.
would probably do well.
And instead of giving a new one, I just kind of want to tack on something that kind of ties in what we were saying: the cups, the souvenir cups. Please go back to giving us a line that's consistent, because they started off with the one that had the 99 logo with the mummy on it, and that kind of led you to believe that maybe they're just going to do different like event posters throughout the years. And we just kind of had that one forever, and then suddenly out of
Uh-huh.
nowhere we got this one that just with white print had crappy looking Jack's face and this random like designed in 2 seconds HHN 30 logo on it, and it looks terrible. And
Yeah,
please, listen, it could have been supply chain issues. That's a
yeah. I
big
was gonna
issue.
say you kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt
Come
on
on,
just like
come
the
on.
HHN 30. There was so much going on there, but yeah, I
I
definitely
will
hope
I will give
they
you a
get
break
good
as long as you
things.
actually go back to
Yeah,
what it should be. Because listen, like I'm an idiot. I give you guys the money you want because I forget to bring my cups every time. So I end up getting the same shitty cup over and over and over.
yeah. Yeah, remember that? I mean, we got spoiled with HHN 29 too.
Oh,
With
those were great.
those were amazing. And I think they were planning on doing that with HHN 30. I mean, with the different posters. And I
I
think we
hope
just,
so.
I just, for some reason, we only got the 99 ones produced, and then yeah, you got the weird Jack Cup.
Which was apparently also made in house and had a lot of issues with the lights because of that. It seemed.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that is all my food and beverage wish list. Do you have anything else? I kind of have a second one, but it's kind of or a third one, but it's kind of already kind of what I touched on. I think some sort of like we've seen it long time ago, but like kind of like the Studio 666 type of thing, like some
Mhm.
sort of themed bar. Themed bars are super popular. People
I
like to
mean,
go and sit down and drink. You're seeing themed bars in basically a bunch of other haunts, right?
yeah,
It's
like
kind of
basically
a
all
big
of them
thing.
at this point.
All of them, yeah. All of the other ones are doing a good themed bar, and it doesn't even. I would like to see Universal go that route. Let's get some themed bars around. You know,
Yeah, no, I am 100% down for that. That'd be great. I don't know where they're gonna put them, but they got space. They can make it
they
work.
have space. We saw them in HHN HHN Light, where we got the themed bar. That was
No,
amazing. You
yeah,
know,
I mean they seem committed to using La Bamba for RIP, but
well, yeah.
the
I
point is
mean,
they do have space.
they
There
have
is
space.
space
They
out
got
there
space.
to put like a little pop up like themed bar. You can make it work.
You have
I mean, they
sound
went to the
stages that I
Swizz.
know
They
that
went
you
to the
could. Yeah,
Swizzle Lounge at Cabana
right.
Bay. That's not
Right.
exactly what you're asking for, but
Yeah, that was yeah.
they definitely
They
have the want to do it.
do it. You have sound stages where you could definitely do it. You would have to come up with some sort of system where but you have space for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I would love if it happened.
All right. Well, Duff, what should we move on to kind of like tickets and operations? I feel like we're
Yeah,
kind of already in that
yeah,
wheelhouse.
let's
Let's
do it.
stay in there.
These kind of tie in. We've been talking about operations a bit, so
Yes. Can I go first on this one?
set it off. Let's go.
Um, this one, I tried to work in a little bit of me getting to talk about the things I liked about HHN 30,
Mhm.
and this is one of the things that I would like to see come back. That was probably one of my favorite little tidbits about HHN 30, and this I want to see an icon or its characters interacting with guests in queues and yelling from a pargo with a megaphone. Um,
That was
I
oddly
need.
specific.
I want to see that type of interaction that we got with Jack. The way they utilized Jack was so fun. He just would pop in wherever you didn't know where he was just gonna be. You would be standing in line, and all of a sudden you see him come up the road, the back road, and there he is with his
Mhm.
megaphone. I thought that was such a fun, you know, way to kind of break up the monotony of sitting in the lines. And yeah, it only happened every once in a while, but I think you could definitely go a little bit further with it, and you could have some interactions with some characters, just kind of popping in and out while you're waiting. And I would love to see it.
Oh, and I think like they, I mean, Jack always kind of has a little bit more free reign, but like absolutely roasted people. Like
Oh
did not
yes.
hold back.
He,
Like you think about like what we saw in 28 in Chucky's Scare Zone, where he's just like, "Where you from? Oh, New York. That's why you sound weird." Like it wasn't like
yeah.
I know people loved it. I didn't enjoy it. Um, Jack like shit on people. He did not
Yeah.
hold back, and like
Yes.
I literally have a moment that I experienced aimed at someone in my group at the time who I will never forget it. Like he just shredded him in the most like personal way he could, and it was phenomenal. I'll never forget it. It's just one of those HHN moments that's always going to stick with me.
Yes. No.
So yeah,
Yeah.
again, I'm fully on board with you.
Yeah, I love the way Jack would just. I mean, I got to experience it myself when we were recording the at
Oh yeah,
the interview.
yeah, you got it.
And yeah, and I actually got it one other time that I probably shouldn't talk about. But yeah, no, I just love the way that he just kind of just you never knew. All of a sudden, Jack was there screaming at you. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, just the videos of him hanging off the back of a parka, just screaming,
Yes.
just ingrained in my mind.
Yes, I love it.
It's phenomenal.
Um, you have one, I'm sure.
Yeah,
What's
mine's
the
it's not as specific as yours, but also very specific, and that's stop doing the fucking scare zone in San Francisco. I don't care that some of them have been really good. The more we add props, and we continue to do so because we're evolving more towards a good for pictures and having it be like little mini
Yeah,
shows, and that I'm not mad about that. I think that's fine, but it doesn't work there. It just does
no, it
not work
does.
there. It
It's
it,
too
it
small of a
it's
space.
even when you don't put a lot of props, it's bottlenecked.
Yeah,
Last time when you put 5 stages and this massive prop on the waterfront, like it was miserable because it was nothing but a fucking like maybe 6 foot wide walkway where people were just stopped and crowding around stages. It was terrible.
now
And like
Duff.
it's been that way for a while, but the way that scare zones are evolving, it's getting worse. And just stop. Put it somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was going to be my question. You can't just take away the zone. Where do you
Oh,
put
no,
it?
no.
My opinion, I have opinion, but where would you put it?
Oh, I mean, I think there's a couple options. I think the one that has the most usage is going to be. I can never think of its name. The one that's right out the backside of Sting Alley, staring down Transformers.
Okay, yeah, that
Like
one.
where they
Yeah,
did clowns. And they've
yeah,
done a few other
it's
like
a decent
hordes have
spot.
been out there. It's better. One, it's not a major pressure point like San Francisco is, and two, it's really long. I think in North San Francisco, not only is it doesn't have much width, it's a very short space.
Yeah, yeah. No, and it's a main thoroughfare where you
Yeah,
have to
exactly.
go through there.
You could walk around this location. You cannot walk around San Francisco. I mean, you could. That's taking you all the way around the other side, so it's not optimal to do that by any means. With this location, you could literally just walk around, no matter which side you're coming from. You can avoid it.
Yeah, Now, my place that I think it would be fun. Now, it would have to be done right, but I think Kid Zone is ready for a scare
Oh,
zone again. We have seen it. We've seen it
okay.
before. We have
Yeah.
definitely seen it before in the past. It's been a very long time, but I think that is a place that people like to hang out and just kind of hang out and relax and eat anyway. That would be a great place to kind of put us. I know that it's been a while since we've had a scare zone in a place that's kind of like kind of like that, a place that's kind of more of a place to kind of relax and get your bearings. But I think it
Mhm.
would to add a scare zone there would be fun.
I do agree with you, but to play devil's advocate, what about the massive extended queue they have up there that gets filled consistently?
Oh, what you mean like the Curious George area?
Yes.
Well, it would probably not go all the way into there. I would say, I mean, it just you start it kind of right where um I don't recall them going back that far
Well, I mean, but
ever,
it
right?
takes up because it starts at um like how do you explain like the ET gift shop, like in line with that, right?
Oh,
So
is
you
that
have all yeah,
oh,
that's where the queues start. So you have the only actual open space you have is kind of like
that
in
walkway leading up to
between,
those
yeah,
queues? Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like, um, and even then, if you go back, that only pushes you to like the Kidzo's Pizza Company, which I mean that place is always packed because the food. So like that
right.
wouldn't work either. So my only thing is operationally, how would that location work?
Yeah, you're probably right. That would be also a bit of a tight squeeze. But I do feel like it's at least a bigger open path, and it's not a main thoroughfare. I mean, yes,
And that's
people are going into there to the lines
mhm,
of the those two um very popular and I like that how they're putting some of the main IPs and the most biggest draws there recently. I
mhm,
do like that because I feel like it definitely it takes the um pain off of those soundstage
yeah,
houses a little bit.
definitely. I think that it was um actually I'll say what else, but or I'll just tie it into my next thing if that's okay.
Uh-huh.
Because
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say that the way the Stay and Scream was set up next year for that area, remember they had the massive queues for both Hill House and Beetlejuice, and they were separate.
Hmm.
Um, it's again, it's tough because of how many people are going to be in that area. Tying into what I was going to say next is give us an additional scare or Stay and Scream location again to take some
Oh.
pressure off others. You can go back to what's been done in the past, like Diagon Alley. If not, I
Hmm.
mean, there's spaces all over that you could use. Let's be honest. I mean, like you can kind of put one wherever you want. It's not hard to do if they wanted to, because I think for the most part, Duff Gardens was fine. After that opening night, which was apparently a shit show, um, every other time I went, it was fine. But Finnegan's could be a pain in the ass. I watched. Um, they'd start like getting the queue going while everyone was still being fully held within New York, and it would wrap all the way back to the gate back there, circle around, wrap around Louis, and that's insanity.
Yeah.
So I think one, less people in the Stay and Scream locations, nice for the people trying to enjoy that time in there. And two, it's going to help on the lines going into the houses because you're kind of splitting up the options a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, what Duff? When does the Stay and Scream like holding areas just go away and they do like a wristband system?
I
That's similar to like Mickey's Not So Scary did. When does that happen?
uh,
When
never,
does Stay and Screaming become so popular that they just don't have the space to hold the people?
never.
Because I
I don't think
think
I don't think that'll
HHN
happen
30 got to a point like those lines were insane sometimes. They
because
they literally yeah.
the tough part is if you do the wristbands, um, you have so many people coming in early for HHN, clashing with crowds who are trying to squeeze in all the time on a short-hour day in the park. That it
Yeah.
would be tough, and because the thing is, the people who are there for HHN, like nothing's going to be open yet because they're still going to have to turn everything over,
Right.
and get it prepped and ready. it just operationally that would be tough. So I don't see Stay and Scream going anywhere. One, it's great for food and alcohol sales. Like
Right.
the
Well,
universe
that's
is
what I
not
was
complaining
thinking
about
more,
that.
that you would just kind of open up the areas, and you don't close the shops, you don't close the food and alcohol. Yeah, you close the
But
rides,
then the
but
thing is, well, then if you close the rides, why is anyone staying in at all? Who's a guest? So that kind of kills that purpose already.
what do you mean? They're staying for HHN, like
Well, I'm
they're staying
saying
for the
because you're saying they use a wristband system, so that would start ahead of time, right?
right.
So typically, the reason
You would
they do
basically,
that
if
is
you
because
they knew,
when it
like when
when
you
it
went into the
closes,
park
go ahead.
at any point in the day, for that they would ask you, "Are you staying for HHN?" And they would scan your ticket then, and they would give you a wristband that would then allow you, and then they would basically do what like Disney did. If you had to get to anywhere or move anywhere, they would check said wristband to basically allow you to move. And if you did not have a wristband, then they would say politely ask you to leave while
Mhm.
the event transitioned. And that would allow people who did have wristbands could go into queues and stay into
Mhm.
the queues for the houses, and really take pressure off the areas, because the giant lines of HHN 30 over just to get into the Stay and Scream areas were insane.
Mhm. Yeah, no, they got crazy. I would say the only issue is that HHN, opposed to Not So Scary, needs actual like full operational turnover setup. Whereas Not
Right.
So
Well,
Scary, you flip a switch and the music changed, and welcome, it's Not So Scary now. We have different costumes on. Um,
right.
so I think like again, you have to deal with that turnover period.
Yeah, I
So
guess
there's
my
like,
thought
where's
is
the
like,
point
if
where
you're
because then
if
also you're looking at the daily operation, which they do have capacities and stuff. And what if it's a busy day, and then everyone's trying to get in early, and there's no stay and scream option, right? So
right.
everyone's just trying to chill in the park as long as they can because it's a busy day. So get there even earlier, and it's going to make the rides even more crowded.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. It's not something that would happen. My point, I guess, is just at what point does these Stay and Scream areas just become too full?
I mean, I think you
Because
just keep
most
you
people
just
are
keep
Stay
adding
and
them.
Screaming. Most people are getting in, figuring out a way to get into
I
the park
mean,
before.
I don't know if it's most people, but it's a lot. I think,
It's a
but the
lot.
thing is, you could always add them. And the thing about Stay and Scream too, because you're locking them into one location with no attractions and no shopping really for the most part, you're forcing them to eat or drink, which is high profit margins. So it's really, operationally a win and financially a win.
All right. Well, let's move on. What else do we have?
I think it's time to head to returning properties before we close out with resolutions. I'd say.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
All right.
Yes. Um, and yeah, I think that's. Oh, I actually have one more tickets and
Oh,
operations. I
go
don't know
ahead.
if you did. This one's just kind of not much to touch on, but I would like to see the return of the opening ceremony. It's always a fun
Well,
little thing. If you didn't get into I would like to see it.
so you're saying more than just like the show up with a little bit of audio and
Yeah,
scare actors, like the
I would
full
like.
on like kind of show aspect
Yeah,
of it.
something a little bit more than we've been saying. To go back to the days where there was at least something to visual to see while you were if you didn't were able to stay in
Yeah.
script.
So more than just like scare actors walking towards the entrance.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Returning properties.
Yes.
All right.
Who can go first?
All right. I'm gonna do one that I'm gonna start it off where people are not gonna like the choice here.
Ooh.
People are.
Okay.
I think you will actually.
Okay.
Other people will not like it like at all. And that's because I'm going to a franchise called The Purge.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that. You know
Yeah,
that I have this weird boner for the purge, and
I know.
it probably says something about me. I don't know, but
I mean,
yes, I
I'm
do like
with you.
it.
I enjoy the franchise in general, and I think
It's so
specifically
shitty, but it's so
specifically
fun.
for scare zones. It works so well. And the Forever Purge kind of is giving you a completely different setting that you got in any other Purge movie. So you're getting the Purge again, but it's so much different. And I think it could still work so well for a scare zone. Honestly, again, just toss it in New York. I think you can make that work.
Yes.
No, I think Hollywood would be too overbearing, but I knew you'd like this. I knew you'd like this, but I think there's people screaming at us right now.
People would hate it.
Absolutely do not want this.
People would hate. People would say it was phoning it in. That it was, all the same things that they said about the Purge.
Yeah.
Scare zones.
The Purge scare zones. Listen, they always have some of the best interactivity.
Yes.
And like, there's so many. And for Forever Purge, there's a bunch of different characters as well. So you're not relying on a lot of similar masks like you have in some of the past ones. Different vehicles, weapons. I think there's enough variety. It's different. It's what a scare zone. You're looking for the whole. Typically, you're looking for the whole kind of victim aspect too. Mm-hmm. And what works better in the Purge, where they're literally like abducting and killing people in the streets. That's what the movie is.
I feel like that I don't remember the name, but the one that was in New York last year, I feel that was kind of just like the Purge, but like sci-fi. It had that same vibe already, and same with the
Survivor Die.
Or Survivor Die, Zombie Land. They all kind of have that feel already. Might as well just go with what works the best. And go with the Purge.
For most scare zones, and especially ones in New York,
hate that.
They are going for that victim one. And that's what the Purge is. That's what the whole franchise is. And I know people again are mad right now. I know it.
People are so mad.
People are so mad. They're fuming. They're turning the podcast off, blocking us on Twitter.
They are writing the tweets right now. They're saying that the HHN 365 thinks that the Purge should come back every year.
I didn't say that, but I okay, I wouldn't like that. That's too much. But we haven't seen it since.
That's not what we said. But
27. That's it's going to be 5 years. 4 events, but 5 years. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's
because it's a proven scare zone that works.
Right.
And I think again, with the Forever Purge being such a different aesthetic to the past films, you're getting something quite different too.
I only like
for me, there's no negative.
Zone. I don't think the house is really
no.
work.
I don't. Yeah, no. It's perfect scare zone. Leave it that way.
Yeah.
And then I think you get the great kind of like stage shows because of the
yes.
Purge.
Oh yes, absolutely. And you get a perfect opening ceremony sound bite. If you need to pull something, you got it.
Oh how do I the Purge alarm? Like, come on.
Yes.
Come on. So iconic, and just like the general public specifically loves that shit. When that alarm goes off, they love that shit.
Oh, it's definitely just kind of just like a casual favorite.
Yeah,
if you got the Purge on there,
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
No, I would say, and they're going to be cranking out those movies. They're not stopping, right? There's gonna be a Purge every couple of years, always, right? They're always gonna be in the zeitgeist. I can only imagine if, that we're gonna see more.
Well, Fast and Furious can go to space one day, so can the Purge.
All right. Mine. So I was kind of saying that this is HHN 31. This is it is. While technically not an anniversary year, I think it is an important year because of 31 is October 31st. It has some throwbacks to the kind of classic Halloween, and we have not seen some Friday the 13th in a very long time, and I think it's time to see kind of it not a Freddy versus Jason, more like a Camp Crystal Lake type of vibe here. And I would like to see that come back.
Oh, I mean, as far as a wish list goes, 1000% would love to see it. It is the rights are currently headed towards or in litigation though,
Oh yeah,
so like
yeah, I don't
almost
follow that as
impossible.
much. I know
But
it's not, but
this is
it's
a
a wish
wish
list.
list, and
It's a
I'm
wish list.
fully with you. Yes, I think we've had representation for Michael Myers and Leatherface,
Yeah,
um, but where I mean, also, I mean, you could say where's Freddy Krueger too? We need him back. But yeah, no, both Jason and Freddy. Since we've had Freddy versus Jason, I'd love to see them return again. But
yeah,
in their own form, not Freddy versus Jason. Like I know it's them, but I consider it kind of a different thing than just simply getting a Friday or a Nightmare film.
yeah.
So
I would settle for the record. I would settle for a Nightmare on Elm Street throwback as well.
yeah, I definitely would be all about either of them getting the shine again.
All right, Duff, do you have another?
I do. So I kind of like to usually let originals simmer a bit before getting the sequel. This one simmered a bit. Normally I'd say wait longer, but I think this is a good point for it. 31. It's a good match for the sequel to Slaughter Cinema,
Okay. All right.
which
Yeah. No,
I
I think people have been clamoring for
yeah,
that.
I'm far
Yeah.
from the only one who
I think
feels that way.
it's time. It's time.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's one. I love the goofy B horror aspect, so um, that's always kind of going to work for me. Will it have the same magic as the first one and click the same way? Maybe not. I wouldn't expect it to be as good, but I think it's a formula that like I'm at least going to enjoy it. Like it feels like that just can't completely miss.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And while I don't think it will happen at 31, if it did, I would be ecstatic.
I think here's because if we don't know if this is the direction they're going to go. It's something we've talked about and a lot of others have talked about. Is that 31 Halloween Horror Nights? You're going to go the Halloweeny route. That would be a great like having the B horror representation there would be great. I think. Do I think it's
Yeah.
going to happen? I mean, I wouldn't predict it necessarily. I think one day we will get a sequel or a tie-in somehow on a large scale. But um, yeah, I don't know if it'll be next or this year. But I would happily take it and think it would be a perfect year and fit in really well.
Duff, you said something that made me realize that I actually had another tickets and operations one that I forgot to mention,
Oh shoot!
and that is I want to see a really a heavily themed year again. I want to
Okay.
see how we had the 80s, or I would like to see just a very heavily themed Halloween year, just all
Hmm.
about October 31st. That is the theme. The theme is
Oh,
it's about Halloween.
you're gonna like my next one then. But
Okay. Yeah, we can go back to that.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but
cool.
yeah.
So you remember how I said I kind of like to let things simmer?
Uh-huh.
This kind of goes against that completely.
Are you
So
gonna say? I think you say what I think you're gonna
I
say.
think you. What do you think I'm gonna say? Because I
You're gonna
think
say like a pumpkin lord icon.
you are so close, and I think that's a great route, and I think a lot of people want it, and I'd love it. But I'm gonna go a different direction, but same house. In Wicked Growth, you may remember they had that little reference to Nathaniel Crow with him getting eaten by crows.
Oh,
He
oh,
could be the icon, and basically, what's more Halloween than what's built around Nathaniel Crow? I mean, obviously, there's so many directions you could take him because he doesn't have much of a like backstory that's canon at the very least.
uh-huh.
Think of it very Wicked Growth, very Twisted Tradition, pumpkins and fucking Halloween. So you get one a new slash returning icon. You know,
Uh-huh.
he's been featured at the event. Um, he was supposed to be an icon in early development stages, but he's a new icon. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of best. I like when they. I mean, not that there's any real examples. I like the idea of someone featured at HHN getting that step up to icon.
No, yeah, I definitely, I mean, I'm on board. I would, I think I'm on the Pumpkin Lord would be a bit funner than the Nathaniel Crow, but I think I would definitely love both.
Listen, if you directly asked me which one I'd want, I'd probably say Pumpkin Lord. But I wanted to make this a little bit more interesting than just saying the obvious choice.
Right. Right. I My next one is pretty obvious. I think this is something that people would like, and it's it's this is a softball, but let's give us another Universal Monsters spinoff. Give us something. We got in Bride. Give us something else. I'm gonna say what about something a little bit more obscure? Like let's give us a full Phantom of the Opera or
Mm,
something like that.
okay. Yeah. Well, one, I think this is very likely that we get another Monsters House. I think that's probably like one of the most expected ones. So you're
Oh,
probably going to
really?
get your wish. Um,
Okay.
I
I'm
don't.
sure Phantom of the
Phantom
Opera
is
is not the one.
that is out there, but I would appreciate it a lot if they did.
I mean, I am on the record for loving puppet theater, right?
Yes.
That was
Yep.
that was my favorite. I'll admit it. It was my number one. Um, but I would love to get back to a dilapidated theater as soon as possible, please. And Phantom would be the great way to do it.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be a surprising yet really good fit because I think puppet theater very successful. I think it had a mostly great reception, um, and I think that kind of like dungy caved in theater
Uh-huh.
thing really works. Obviously,
It
it'd be
does.
a bit of a different aesthetic within the theater for Phantom, but still the vibes would be pretty close. I think.
Absolutely. All right. Do you have any others?
That's all I had.
All right. Well, then I guess it's time to move on to some personal HHN 31 resolutions.
Yep.
It's still the month of January. This fits, right?
Yeah, I think so. And this is basically just us saying things we want to do or do different that we haven't done in the past, new things, whatever it may be, just things we want to do this year, pretty much.
Yeah. Mine are pretty straightforward here.
Yeah, so
I'll go first. My first one is a no-brainer. Go more often, and I have in parentheses, duh. Yeah, like I would like, obviously, life gets in the way, and I did not get to go to HHN 30 as much as I expected or wanted to. And 29 kind of was the same way. I want to get there as much as I can.
mhm,
And the 31, I'm really gonna do my best to figure out a way to do.
yeah. I mean, I even want to go more, and I went almost every single night I could have. So, you know, I think, yeah, no, duh, I agree. But mine that I'm gonna start off with is I want to take advantage of Stay and Scream more. I love Stay and Scream. That's we cover that a lot. It's one of my favorite aspects of HHN. But after work, sometimes it's like, man, I got to take a nap. I stayed up till 2 a.m. the night before at HHN, went to work. I don't know if I can make it to Stay and Scream. But the thing is, like, I kind of regret it by the time the season's over, not taking advantage of that aspect I like where, there's just your friends are there just hanging out and you just
Mhm.
want to be there with them, sharing a beer or drink or food or whatever it may be, where you're talking about HHN before taking the event in. And I'd be shocked if I did Stay and Scream more than 5 or 6
Oh
times.
no, really?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, man. It really wasn't. Just because
Duff, do you know how many times I did it?
0.
Not once. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
I,
once.
I was gonna say I don't remember you being able to make Stay and Scream, unfortunately.
No, I did not. I rolled up a couple of times, after not too long after the opening, but yeah, no, I did not once,
Yeah,
fortunately.
and see, so I'm sure you're kind of with me on this one. Then you'd like to also Stay and Scream it a bit more. It's just one of those parts of the event that separates it from other events too. It makes it a little bit special that it has that experience. And not that it's the only one where you can hang out in the park at all. There's a few others where that's a thing, but the environment you're in, the fan base that's around the event, it's just a special time. So I would like to say, fuck it. I'm not sleeping a lot regardless. Let me suck it up for a couple months and hit a bunch more Stand Screams.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So my next one, and it is my last on the list here. I have bring a first timer to HHN again. I recall that HHN 29. It was we brought to Nico for the first time.
Yes, that's correct.
And it was a wonderful experience to kind of see HHN through the eyes of someone who has never experienced it before. I don't believe HHN 30 I got to experience. No, I did not. There were, I think, discussions of potentially getting Nico's fiance out, but it just never happened. And I would like to see bring a first timer.
Yeah, no, and I had the experience to do it last year, and yeah, there's something that just makes it a bit more enjoyable, especially
Yes.
when they're really liking it. And I was lucky that that
Mhm.
was the case for me. That they get to really enjoy the event and everything around it. So, yeah, it's something I hope I get the chance to do every year. Doesn't always happen, of course, but it's a fun time.
Yeah, no, it's something just a little bit different the night you get to bring someone who's never experienced it.
All right. Well, my next one, unfortunately for me, I think I had this last year, and I still didn't fully live up to it. So I got to put it on again. I need to hang out in scare zones more. There are times where I do spend some time in them, yes, but I actually want to just fully take them in sometimes, and I just never end up doing it. And the thing is, last year was the first time I ever got Express with my frequent fear. So you would think, oh, I could easily have more time to do that kind of stuff, but I didn't.
Yeah, no, I
Not
didn't
really.
either, man.
Like,
Yeah.
because you think like I use that time to go maybe have a drink or food more often, but then I just wasn't in the scare zones for some stupid reason. I should have been. I should have brought my beer right over there, or my food into New York, or whatever it is. So just a lot of missed opportunities. So it's back on my list. I think technically for a third consecutive year.
Yeah, no, the HHN 30 in general, I just did not get a lot of scare zone action. I would say the Terra Correntis was probably the one that I got to the most, just because you have to walk through it
Yep.
to get to a lot of things. But yeah, no, and Haction for the same reason. But yeah, no. I didn't get a lot of scare zone time in, and I would really like to.
What else you got?
No, that's it.
Oh, that's all you
That's
got?
my list, man. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
one more then.
You got one more?
I
All
got
right, let's
one
do
more.
it.
It's a big one, maybe ambitious, especially for this year. It's going to depend on where we're at in the world, but I would like to hit one of the international HHNs. I think I want to start with Singapore. So
that is definitely something that I would like to do. I cannot imagine it happening this year, but I would love to happen soon. Duff, if you make it happen, I will be insanely jealous, but I will be very happy for you.
Yeah, I think it's something that probably every HHN fan wants to do, right?
I can't imagine that. That I think Singapore is the one to shoot for. I
Yeah.
don't think you should plan a trip to Japan anytime soon.
Yeah, as we learned.
As someone who is supposed to be in Japan, probably as you were listening to this, we were supposed to be
Well, less
in Japan.
Less than 2 weeks from when we're recording.
We were supposed to
be in
leave on
Japan.
the 1st of February, Duff.
Yeah.
That is
The
next
first?
week.
I thought it was
Yeah,
the third.
well, it was the first. We were supposed to head down to Miami.
Oh,
and
okay.
yes, yeah, and the flight left on the 2nd, and we got in on the 3rd.
Got it.
Or something to that effect. Yeah, we left on the 2nd, and we got in on the 3rd. And we drove down to Miami on the 1st to start the whole thing.
Anyways, yes, that was painful. Yes. That's not why I would say I'd prefer Singapore. I know there are a lot of people who swear that just like Japan does and everything else, it has the best HHN. Me looking at it, what it is, and the formula and how operationally it's
So
run.
quirky. I
It
want to do
is.
it.
It is.
I want to do it, Duff.
But I'm more interested in Singapore's. I think that looks more like a pure, like fun
Yes.
horror nights. Horror nights.
It's very more of a traditional
Yes.
Horror Nights.
Yes.
But when in Japan, you got to do
of course.
how. I just want to go. I want to go. I want to. Go through a haunted house at 9 a.m. I want to do it.
I mean, we had HHN Light for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But
and I found I didn't like that as much. So
yeah, you're right.
But no, I'm sure I'd still be enjoyable. I think I just have Singapore just above it on what I want. But knowing Japan, I would come back and say, yep, that's the best HHN in the world because it's Japan and they seem to do everything right with the.
What, you don't want to do
and everything.
Zombie laser tag, Duff? You're too good for zombie laser tag.
I'm too good for it. Yep, that's
You're
right.
Too good for some weird add-on a 2-hour experience that no one can talk about.
You signed the NDA for.
Yeah, exactly. That we can't discuss on the show because they make you like people really can't talk about it because they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah, well, do they have a jacked up experience at one of their resorts? I don't think so. But yeah, no, that's seriously one of my goals this year. Again, it's a tougher one, and it will depend on the climate of our world. But yeah, I hope I can make it happen.
Yeah, no, hopefully, good luck, man, on that one. I would like to try to at least get to Hollywood. But
I mean, yeah, I'll definitely be there. Again, going all in on RIP because that was the fucking greatest Hollywood experience you could have.
That was the move, yeah.
And price-wise, listen, man, ours looks like a fucking ripoff compared to theirs.
You know what?
Looks like it. Like theirs comes with admission. It has unlimited RIP access.
Oh,
so even when it's over, you just keep going through the RIP entrance, which is not a line. It's just an opening for you to walk through, where they immediately stop every other queue. It's great.
I know this isn't our HHN Hollywood wish list, but I'm going to add one on real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
That after 2 p.m. Ticket where you can get in and you can experience, starting at 2, a little bit of the park. What a great deal, man!
Oh yeah.
I hope that comes back.
I have one thing. Here it is. I have a wish for it. After 2, but you can add it to RIP. Because that's the only difference. First of all, they are almost the same price. They're not far off in price.
Really?
Just let me add on a little bit extra to be able to go into
add
the park
on the after 2 with the express, so you can actually do some of the rides. Yeah,
I want because the thing is, this trip I only had to ride Jurassic World and Secret Life of Pets. Those are the 2 I haven't done there. And Secret Life of Pets is not open during HHN, so I still have not done it. And it's apparently a phenomenal dark ride. So I need to get there during day operations. And an after 2 attached to my RIP would be a phenomenal way to do it.
All right. Well, that wraps up the wish list. Duff, do we have any? I vaguely recall us having a plan of what we are going to do for the next show. Do you want to tease that?
Oh, are we doing that one next? So we haven't discussed this, but we still haven't done the Schmitties. Are we still sneaking that in somewhere?
Yeah, I think the Smitties can definitely be snuck in somewhere, but I kind of want to do the other one we discussed.
Okay, all right. So you know how if you go on YouTube, there's the fun things where I don't remember who does them. Is it GQ or like one of those YouTube channels that has all the celebrities come on? Anyways, they do the celebrity searches most Googled for their name. We're gonna do that for HHN.
Yeah,
sounds like fun. I haven't looked at them yet. I have not made sure there's good responses or good questions.
We'll find out.
So if they're bad, I apologize. We're just gonna roll with it anyways.
Yeah, and we've said it on the show, so we can't back out. So if it's shit, oops,
my bad. We'll have the Schmitties eventually. Also, another thing we're gonna have coming somewhat soon. Our annual trivia tournament is gonna be coming up.
Yes.
So get ready for that. We'll, of course, announce when to sign up and everything. Last year, there was much interest, and we cannot get everyone in, unfortunately. We'll see if we can expand it or do a different format this year. No promises, though.
We'll see. Yeah. We have a lot of things coming up and a lot of time to squeeze it in as well. So it's gonna be a fun season here leading up to HHN 31, and I'm ready.
It's our first real off season, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
As a podcast, it's our first real one.
Yeah, because we didn't really have the one for HHN 30 was so we had
2020, which we know how that went, and then by the time we got into 2021, we knew everything basically. So
we didn't really get this any speculation because it was all this the stuff that was leaked for HHN 20.
Mm-hmm.
So
now
I'm
we get
ready
a real
for
one.
this. Yeah, we get a real one. I'm excited. All right. Well, as always, you can interact with us with on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at HHN 365, and you can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405, and we'll see you in the streets.